Thanks for joining me again. Well, thanks for joining me, because you might not have been here before. What we've got today, we've got the CityBug, we've got the Peugeot 107, back on it again. Got a few jobs to do on it. First one being this, the lowering springs. Now, this is something I've been wanting to do for a long while, just never got around to it. We've got a choice of two really, spring wise. We've got the Eibach and we've got the Eibach. Now, these ones are 35mm drop. The Eibach were 25, so they're not as big a drop. Now these are absolutely delightful. They're a beautiful spring. Look at them suckers, look. Now then, got to get these separated because there's two in there and there's two in there, and they've twisted them together just to can't get the ball. Well, this is embarrassing, isn't it? I was never any good at those Chinese puzzles. There we go, that's got it. So, what we've got is these absolute beauties. Look at those. We've got the extra spring at the top to really stiffen it, and we've got the long travel to stop them falling out. It's like a two-tier spring system. So when it's at foot, when you've got a lot of travel, when you're going over some or got it jacked up, the length is still there, so they won't fall out. But when it's compressed, you're just using the short side. Again, if I can get these apart. What a palaver. I'll get down with it now, I think. Yeah, there we go, that's better, isn't it? But yeah, like I say, so when we fit in this, the short bit will go at the top and the long spread will go at the bottom. So that's the way they're going to sit in the hangers. Look at them, that's the front one, I do believe, and they're going to be the rears. But yeah, look at them beauties. Nicely powder coated. And there's a part number on there if you can see that. Apex. Oh, it actually says top on it, look, as well, just in case you were wondering. 7042001VA 4020. So what I'm hoping for, because one thing that's been great to me, I hate this gap, it's just too much gap, it's massive. It's great if you're going over wickedly big speed humps and stuff, but I think there's room for a bit of lowering there. So 35mm lowering should just sit this down a bit, stiffen her up a tad, make it look nice and make it just handle that little bit better. So let's crack on, get it on the car. What we're going to have to do is jack the car up. The rears are quite easy, they're not a bad job. We'll jack the car up, we'll get two axle stands on the body either side. We'll get one axle stand either side. And we'll take the two bolts out of the shock absorbers, which will allow us to drop down that rear axle. The fronts, however, are going to be a little bit more difficult. We've got to break the leg down a little bit to get the leg out, to get the spring off and all that. Need a couple of compressors, they're only cheap. I'll put all the links in the description to all the bits and pieces we're using on this job. So you can have a go yourself if you want to have a go. Too much talking, let's get on with it. Get it in the garage where we're going to be working on it, under the carport. So let's bob the jack under it, get it up in the air. Right, so because I want to put the axle stands under the sill and support the body of the car so I can drop the axle down, I'm going to have to jack the car up on the axle to get it up and get the axle stands underneath. Now, don't go jacking the car in the middle. If you've got a trolley jack, you can't jack it in the middle. You've got to jack it either side. The middle is too flexy and you'll end up bending it and buggering up all your tracking. So, jacking these up at the back from the axle, you go underneath the spring. So, just here, you've got your spring hanger at the bottom there, on the bottom of this axle. That's where my jack's going to go. We'll slip it under there, like that, and jack away. We'll do one side at a time. Still got to go a little bit more because I want to get it under this sill here. Oh, I might just be there now. Yeah, it's really close, look. Now this here is a bit of too big a V there, and if I drop that down it's going to damage the sill, so I just need to pop a little bit of wood in there just to stop it from buggering that up. I could turn it sideways, but then again it's going to mark this up, so I think it just wants a little bit of something in there. Just like that on the inside there. Yeah, that's nice. That's going to be lovely now. So I've just got that up on the inside of that. That's just going to drop down and sit in there nicely. Looking good. That one's nice and solid under there. It will want to take all the weight off it, but yeah, looking good. Okay, one side. There we go, and we'll drop that one onto there as well. Again there, look, I've just got that bit of wood there on the axle stand just to give it loads of surface area, so when we drop that down it just sits in nice. Right then, okay, what we need to do is to release the two shock absorber bolts. Got one here and one on this side, obviously. Same thing. Just here. We need to keep the jack under that though, just to take some of the weight so that it will drop down nicely. Okay, right, let's drop that bolt out first. I'll just take a bit of the load off of it. I think it's a 14mm. So you could just use a bar ratchet to get that off. I've got the gun, make life easier. So let's go with that. Get the big head out of the way. Let's get you around there so you can see what we're doing. Okay, that's that one out there. Just pull it all the way through. One. And then we'll come around the other side. Drop the jack and move it across. And actually you can see as I drop the jack on this one, you can see that dropping out of there. And that'll come down now and give us loads of room to get that spring out. We've only got to go up just a tiny bit, just take the load off it. Like that. And we'll whiz that one out as well. Oh, my jack's in the bloody way. There's a little extension. Let's just drop a little short one on there. There we go. And let's have that one out as well. And we can drop that down now. Okay, that might well be enough to get the spring out. Now you see what we've got under here is you've got the rubber there, this rubber at the bottom. It's important you try and get that back in again. This one's a little bit split because you'll be getting loads of squeaking and stuff if you don't get that in there. It's a little bit worn, that one, but I ain't that fussy. And then just to get this out, we just pull it out and out it drops, and again you've got the rubber for the top as well. So let's have that out of there as well. Just put that on there for a minute. So now it's really apparent the difference in the front and the rear. So that's the new ones. Look, you've got the big massive one, that's the front one. You've got the smaller one, which is the rear one, and if I put that alongside the original rear there, look, the apex is slightly smaller, not a lot, but that's not where the drop is. The drop isn't in the uncompressed side, it's when it's actually compressed, that's when you'll notice the difference. Let's drop that one in along with the other side. What we need to do obviously was to put the top seat back in again, so we've got this rubber here for the seat, and you can actually see the pattern on it, how it fits in to the top of that there. So that bit at the top, that there, we've got that piece which is going to sit right into there like that. We'll drop that in. That's ready to go back in again. Same with the other side, the bottom one. These often fall out. You've seen loads of times where these have actually dropped out of the car. Anyway, let's get that back in again, and I'll drop that over there, just see if we can get it to sit in there. Yeah, that just sits any old how really. There's no, it's just the top one that's got the actual locator in it. And I'm going to have the writing pointing backwards just because I'm a bit of a tart, so I'll have that pointing to the back, which is sort of indicative of where it wants to go. So yeah, that looks about right, just there like that. So this is, the writing is pointing to the back, and then if I just jack this up slightly so that it does sit in there on that rubber. Yeah, that's that one going back in. Let's get the other side. Same again, let's pop this one out. We'll drop that bottom one back on there again. I'll take the top off of there, ready for the next one. Here we go, this is the new rear one. So we've got the short at the top. We'll drop that round and get that back in again. It's a wet, miserable day, that's why all these are wet. All the rubbers are all wet on it, bless it. It's just the rain, that's all. And then that one is going to drop in there like that. Okay, so now we can jack this up and get these bolts back in. So let's go with this side first, being as we're here. Yeah, look at that beauty. And we're going up nicely, and we just get that to the position we want it to be in, which is about there. Drop the bolt back through, get it started on the other side, and then we can bang that back in again. That's one. Drop that off and do the other side. Nice. And you see now that's in. Even when it's fully jacked, it's still in place, it's not going to fall out. So that's good, that's nice. Alright, here we go, same with this side then. Jack that up, get that hole lined up, see it coming in there, then we'll get the bolt back through again. Attach that one up. Nice. And then we can drop the jack off this one as well. Yeah, look, it's sitting there lovely. So all we've got to do now is we'll jack it right back up again and get them axle stands out. Slide this block all down. One out. And then drop that one down as well. And move my torch out of the way. Beautiful. Yeah, that's come down a bit, and we haven't even moved it yet. So they'll settle in a bit more. Whoa, looking nice, isn't it? Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's get the front sorted. Okay, so that now brings us to the front. Back's all done. Let's get these fronts out. We're going to have to take the scuttle off to release the leg, get the leg out, get the spring off. Let's crack on. Get the bonnet up, that's the first thing. Pull the lever across. Okay, so this is what we've got to release, is these two bolts, one either side on the top of the leg there. So to get at those, we've just got to take this scuttle off here. So we've got to take the wiper blade off as well. Okay, so to get this off, we need to just pop that up there with a little screwdriver. So we just pop a little screwdriver in the end of that, give it a little twist. Off that pops, leaving the 13mm nut, and that's just a little cap that just drops on there. Can you see that in focus? I'm sure. Noting where this goes, we're just about an inch of the top of that scuttle there, the line of this. So just make a mental note of that, because that's got to go back in the same place. Actually, that's a 12mm. That's a 12mm nut on there. So we release that, and then if you just give this a little push and a wiggle, you might have to drop the bonnet down to get that off. Just move that camera away there. Just drop it down again. We've got the little one underneath there. We can just get on that and just raise that up. It should just pop off. It's just on a little ball joint. There we go. So that's the bottom one off. Just a little tap. Yeah, just try and use a copper hammer on this, unless you're going to put the nut head back on again, because it will damage the threads if you try and use a normal hammer on it. There we go, that's got it. A little tap and away it comes. It's a spline, so yeah, a little bit tricky, but it's away. And what we've got is these little clips here. We've got one there, and one the other side, little push clips. We've got the pipe for the washer jets as well, so we're going to have to just pop that off and then just give that a little wiggle and a twist, and we should be able to release it from either one end or the other. There we go, that's the easy one. So that's now released, so washer jets are free. These little push clips here, you just push the centre down and then the clip will come out. Then you can pop the centre back up again, ready for refitting. That's the two clips up. Now this is loose again, so we should pull it towards us and the whole thing will come away. That's rid of that. Now we're nearly there. We've just got to release this tray, this scuttle tray, which is held in with just a few 10mm bolts. Here's a nice little touch for anybody. This is a little 10mm socket. You can see inside it there, it's got a magnet. And these are great for getting to those hard to reach bolts. So that was one out. Let's get these two out of here. So all in all, there's 10 of these 10mm bolts to take out. One down the bottom there. They are quite obvious to see. Over here as well. Oh, but for the ones in the corner, there's two down here. One's tucked away right at the back. That was a bit rusty. Whoa. Come out though. Just down there is a cruddy bolt. Oh, I'm happy with that. Clean as well. Even though it's really wet and submerged, it's quite clean. Really pleased with that one. Let's go for the other side then, because there's going to be one down there as well. There's got to be one tucked away in there as well. There we go. That's that one out of there. That one out. And then we can actually get this out of the way. And there's a bolt behind it. There, look, see it? Bolt just there. So let's leave that attached. I won't disconnect that just yet. There we go. That's got it. That's got it, isn't it? So maybe I could just slide that back in there now. And we can move this enough to get at those bolts, hopefully. What do you reckon? Just lift the bonnet up off its stay a second. Yeah, happy days. There we go. So we've got enough there now to get that out without too much of ado. Okay, that's that out of the way. We can get at the bolt. Let's get it up in the air, and we're going to do this leg first. Right, so we're going under the jacking point on this side, under there with this, and we'll get that up in the air. You ain't got to go too mad, just enough to get the wheel off. These beautiful ATS Cup Juniors, absolutely lovely wheels they are. So here we go, this is where we've got to start looking at the job in hand. What we've got to do is separate this leg from the hub assembly there, the upright. So we'll crack off the bolt at the back, and we're going to bash this down, knock it down to separate the two, because we need to then to bring the leg, drop the leg out and replace that spring. Let's see how we get on. These can be tight, really tight, but you know, give it a few good bashes, we should be able to move it. A copper hammer is always good because it won't do so much damage to this leg. Yeah, let's crack on, let's get it off. So I just spin this steering round, and then we can get a couple of those brackets. First one we're looking at here is the bracket that holds on the brake cable there, the brake pipe, sorry. So that's a 14mm nut, so we'll get that on there and just whiz that off. That's that one out of the way. That's that loose. We've got the ABS wire, we need to just release that from that clip there as well. So that's both of them out of the way. And also we've now got to take off this big tight clamp bolt, which I think is going to be a 17 or a 16, is it? Yeah, 16mm on that side, and it'll be 17 the other side, wouldn't it? Yeah. Ratchet on that side. That bolt released, and then that clamp bolt there will just come pull through. Like so. Okay. Right then, so I'll straighten the steering up again, and then we'll try and knock this leg out. See how tight it's going to be. Obviously being careful not to bash these wires. And that's starting to go. See the little gap appearing there. You can carry on with that, just beating the living daylights out of it, and it will come off. But I've got this tool, which is a hydraulic ram, which just makes life a lot easier. So I'm going to go with it just to make life easy for myself. Why not? If we got it, might as well use it. It's my favourite bit of kit for doing these jobs. It really does make light work, and that was getting those legs out. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's try that. I'll just jack away on here. Just tapping that down as we go. A little tap on that. Obviously, if you haven't got the ram and you need to take the bottom board jet off to release the bottom arm, if you go back to one of my videos, the Eibach gearbox removal video,
that will show you how to release the bottom ball joint without any special tools. I'll put the link in the description.
Okay, so where we're at the minute, we've dropped that down and separated it about 10 mil or so out the bottom of that that hanger there, but there's no more give in the bottom arm. The bottom arm is right down touching, so this won't go any lower, physically any lower. So we've got a couple of choices. We can either take the bottom ball joint off, or we can fit the spring compressor to the spring and compress it, save us all the trouble of taking that off the bottom. That's what I'm going to try and do first. I'm going to try and compress the spring and remove it that way. Let's have a go. Right, let's get that one on first. So we'll get it right to the top and bottom on there, so we've got plenty of compressing going on. Something like that. We'll drop that onto get that one onto that one like that. Got it up a bit more, it's gone too much. And that one onto there like that. So I'll get that round to that side there, so we're going 50-50. And then we'll do the same with the other one on the other side. Something like that. Okay, let's pull those two up and see what happens. See, that's lifted that right off the base there. So now I should be able to just tug this down, and that should come out with a bit of luck.
So the other thing you could do with this is to remove the drive shaft CV joint from the hub. You could take the brake caliper off, release the bottom ball joint, and then take the whole leg assembly out with the hub attached to it. You'd have to take the ABS sensor off as well completely. That would be another way of doing it, but you are disturbing the bearing and ABS sensors and other bits and pieces there. But if you haven't got the RAM, or you're struggling getting it off, you could say remove the whole assembly completely off the car and do it on the bench in the workshop or in the garage. I always try and do, when I'm removing something like this, I'll try and do the most minimal way of getting it off, disturbing the least amount of components. And this is probably that. Although this was pretty tight getting it off. I do think taking the bottle ball joint off it does make life a lot easier. But I like a challenge. I like to try and do things different ways, and it's coming out, look.
Bingo. She's out. Right. We got there in the end. Okay, now the leg is loosey-goosey. We are going to struggle like hell to get that back in there. That's going to be really, really tough to get that back into there. We like a challenge there, don't we? So we'll see if we can do it. If we can't, we'll have to pop the bottom ball joint off. Right, now we're up to this top mounting, so we need to whiz that out. Again, it's full of water. It's a 17mm. There's an Allen key bolt in the top, so if you haven't got an impact, you can just put an Allen key and a spanner on it, and you can do it that way. Just grab hold of the leg with the other hand. And that will come right undone there. That's that off of there, then that will come through from underneath. And out it comes, just like that. So on the top here you've got your nut, you've got a top washer which then sits, that's his leg. See, we've got a little bit of corrosion there, but nothing to be worried about. The spring sits into the little cup at the back there, so you can't go wrong with that. On the top we've got a bearing for the so when it turns it's on a bearing there. If that feels dodgy, then you need to replace that as well, but this one feels nice. So we've got to take this top nut off now. We've compressed the spring, and there's no, this spring, just make sure it's got no load on it. Now see it's all loosey-goosey, so that's good. So now we can undo that top nut there. There we go, that one's nice. Let's try and get this off, see if it'll come out without having to use the Allen key to get it off. Because like I said, there's an Allen key hole in the top, so you can put an Allen key in there, hold it, and then use the spanner to undo it. If I have to do that, I will do. But at the minute, let's just give it a go and see if it just comes out straight off the gun. No, so it needs the Allen key in there. That's got stuck. 6mm, straight in the top. 17mm first, obviously. Oh, that's got stuck. 17mm on undo. Get that in the top of that. Get the bar on that.
Watching this back.
Turn away.
How glad am I that this didn't pop. I think if it goes on this next one, I'd have chopped my nipples off. Oh, not that one.
Oh yes, CityBug, that's tight.
This one here.
Brutus has done this up.
Oh, I can imagine. Bless.
Jesus.
It's that tight, it's actually starting to twist me snap-on Allen key that's on the end of that bar.
Someone's had a right go at this. God, I'm fearing the worst at this point.
So I'm thinking I'm going to have to heat this. This has got to be heated, but I can't heat it too much because it'll melt all that rubber and stuff that's at the top there. If I can get this plastic cap off the top of the bearing and just trying to apply some heat to the nut itself there. Not going too mad, I'm not going to try and get it cherry red or anything like that. I'm just going to warm it up and just hopefully that will loosen it up. And I'll try not to set fire to my carpet on the floor there as well. If I can't get this off, then it's going to be a new strut, a new leg, if it's going to damage it. You see that's pretty hot. The grease in that top bearing is starting to smoke, so I've got some heat in it. Oh, bingo.
Oh, how dear Jesus. How was that? Eh? Shows you what a bit of heat does though, doesn't it? Lucky as right, I don't think we've destroyed that at all. That's going to be bloody hot. I need some. Just cool that down, do a rag. Wet rag there.
That flame torch is just got map gas in it. It's a plumber's torch. It's nothing too expensive, but it does help you out when you've got a problem.
Oops, all the bearings are far out. Can't lose them. Oh, we're playing games now, aren't we? Hey, the fights are up. Oh yeah. Wait, they're going to go back in again. I'll give all them a good clean up and we'll get them back in as soon as we can. There we go. She's off. We'll have that off of there. We can lift this thing up. We've got us rubber boot that's coming off, and then we have, that's the bump stop that's staying on there, and then the spring can come off as well. Right, so new spring to go on. Just have a look in here. It's not broken or knackered or leaking or anything, which is all good. So let's have a new spring, which is going to sit in there, and the foot of it sits into its little locator at the bottom there, just into there. We then put his boot back on the top. And again, that's got a little locator there, which needs to sit where that is. So we'll get that down as well. We'll get that sitting where it needs to be. Just there like that. I just need to rebuild this bearing. So let's bring that up here. We'll make sure we've got all of his bearings. We'll give them a clean. I'll look in there as well. So we need to give all of this a good clean, and we'll put some fresh grease in there. Another one there. Let's wipe this out. That's the top washer there. Give that a wipe as well. Like so. I've got some LM2 grease there. I'll just drop a bit of that into that. So they stick to it. Okay. Alright then, let's go one at a time. Give them clean. And drop them back in.
If yours has come off with no problems at all, you'll have avoided all of this problem. You won't need to do anything with it, you'll just put it straight back on again. But obviously I've had to rebuild this top bearing. At least it's got some fresh grease in there though. And it's gone back together again really nice. We've got a full set there?
Yeah, full race there. Drop a little bit of grease in there. Have that back on the top of there, like so. And then the rubber top on that, there, like that. Ready and raring. Lovely. Okay. Right, we're getting there. After a minor hiccup. Ugh. Nothing's easy though, is it? We always have these little problems. As long as we can overcome them. Okay.
So what we're going to do is just whiz off the spring compressors away from the old springs there. These ones are not the best. You can get a better version, which I will put a link to in the description. I've had these ones for years. They're a bit old out. But we can wang these down on the new one and compress this new spring into place so we can get that top mount back on again with the bush in it and the bearing. The sooner I can get that top bolt on, the better. I'm never a fan of just hanging it on the spring compressors. Once that nut's on the top, you're safe. Nothing's going to happen. It's fine now. But if one of those spring compressors lets go without the nut on, the spring could go anywhere, hit you in the face or anything. I'll just whiz that down a bit with a gun and then finish it off with the ratchet and the Allen key socket. Just make sure that's nice and tight. Bingo.
It's down there. Okay. That's sitting nicely in there. It's sitting nicely in the top. Let's have a look. Get it back in again. You need to compress this down a lot more if you can.
The power of this Milwaukee ratchet is amazing. It is so flipping good. Look at that, pulling down on that compressor. I've had it for over 2 years now and it's been an absolute beast of a thing. It's brilliant.
There we go.
So we just try and get that in, get it back up into position. God, you can hear the rain lashing down on the roof of the carport. Am I glad I'm in here? I wouldn't want to doing this outside with no cover. So that's up, and I've just get that top bolt on. Nut, get me nut and bolt middled up again.
Okay. Right. The big question is, Let me get this leg back in.
So are you ready for a wrestling match? Because that's pretty much what we're going to have here. I've just got to get that down enough to get that started. But it's obviously quite springy because it's on that, the wishbone's on rubbers, and it just always wants to come back to the same position. I could put a bar through and lever it down, which is what I'm going to do on the other side. So stay with that, because what I'm going to do is show you this pretty much everything I've done on this side, and not fast forwarding too much of it. On the other side, I'll whiz through.
It's closer than I thought.
And just show you the differences. But yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm almost in on this one now. I've just got to go down a little bit more. I'll just get the hydraulic ram in there just to give me a little bit of positioning. I could just put a bar through the bottom arm and lever it down, but I'm just going to use the ram. It's right by the side of me, so I'll chuck that in there for now and just finish it off and get it into position. Just slide that in. Just take a bit of weight off that rubber at the bottom. It's obviously a bit wibbly wobbly, but if I could just keep it in line, and then it will just drop in.
Oh, it's close. It's there. No way, done it. That got from a little ram. That was good, wasn't it? Okay, just got to get this lined up now. A little noggin at the back, so they've got to come right round. What I'm going to do is put some lube on there as well. Get that grease. Get some grease on there. So that goes in nicely. There's a little noggin at the back that's got to come down and sit between the bolt clamp. It's got to go down and slide down. I'll show you that. Let's spin the steer around, you can see it then. Okay, so tucked up round the back here, just where my finger is there, you see that little noggin on the back there? That's got to come down and slip between this little gap here. That's when we know we're straight. So I might need to just rotate the strut slightly to get that to go in. I'll get the big grips on the case. I can come in here, lock onto something that's and then we can just wiggle this and turn it to where it needs to be. So I can feel it there. It's got to come round to the right a little bit more, like that. That feels almost perfect. So now we can release those two clamp bolts on the spring. Whiz them out of there. There's one. Two. And then we can just tap this back into position now. And the spring should do most of its work for us.
So just keep tapping this. Plenty of little taps, and you can just see it slowly dropping in. Nice and steady. It just works its way down, back where it needs to go.
Little noggin there is just about to line up now. Yeah, that's gone in. And once once this meets that at the back, we know we're in, and that's it. Beautiful, beautiful. So I can put the pinch bolt back through. Just drop a little bit of grease on that. Slide that back through the back. And get the nut on there. Whiz that up. Like so. Get the ABS sensor back into its hole, like that, and then we need to just bolt back through there for the brake pipe as well. And pull the boot down till it's over its hole at the bottom. Keep any muck out of there.
And we'll just whiz that brake pipe clamp bolt back up there.
Straighten the steering up. And then back up here, just got the top bolt there to do back up. Let's get the wheel back on. It's an absolute delight. Let's get it on the deck. So what I do is I just pop the spanner on there. I'll get my socket in the Allen in the top, and then I can just make sure, yeah, that's tight. Lovely. Just what we wanted. Right, so that's that side done. All complete, back together again. Let's spin it around and I'll do the other side. Exactly the same as this side. So here's just a little tester. This side we've just done is at 58 centimetres to the, well, I'd even go 57 and a half. 57 and a half to the wheel arch. And the other side that we are about to do is at 61. So yeah, 61. So it's about crack on, isn't it? And we haven't even moved it really, so that's going to settle down a little bit more, I would think, when we start rolling it about. Right, let's crack on.
Right, let's get this done. Jack it up in the air. Like I say, I'm going to whiz through this side because it's exactly the same job as the other side. We'll get the wheel off, remove them ABS sensor and the brake pipe, lube that up, just give that leg a little bit of a lube there on that pinch bolt. Remove that big bolt there, get the ram in again, give it some taps. This side did actually come out slightly easier. It wasn't as tight for whatever reason. Bingo, that's out of there. Spring compressor's wanging on, and you've got quite a bit of room up the top there to get these in. I'm surprised how much room there is around that in that sort of top mount area, or the turret. So we'll get that leg out, a little bit tricky, give it a good wiggle and a shiggle and a, yeah, shiggly-do, out it comes. And this one has come out with the rubber on the top, look, it's got the whole cone on there, which is not a problem, so good.
Gotcha. So this one's got the cone still on the top of it. Oh, this one's come straight on, doesn't it? Magic stuff. Magic. Oh, that's better.
Yeah, and unlike the other side, this one came straight off, no messing. It wasn't tight or anything. Just shows you, doesn't it? And normally it's the near side on UK cars that's tighter because of all the road dirt that sits in the curb side. It's usually the near side that's the worst.
Second one going on. Get it the right way around. Top switch on there, we'll get that located into the bottom. Like so. And we've got his boot to go down. And that's sitting just there like that. And we'll get that to the back. We'll have a compressor either side. I'll go to that, I'll go to that one there. That one there, to that one there.
Yeah, so we just wang those down again, get it compressed up so we can get that top mount on. You can see we've got plenty of strut poking out the top now, so that's makes life a lot easier to get that on. We can tighten that up again like we did on the other side. Ain't got to get too mad on it, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
Get my socket off, damn thing. There we go. Get that rubber dome back on the top.
Right, let's get this one back in as well. Right. Oh yeah. That's looking good.
Get that into place and we'll get that top nut right on there to hold the leg in. And you see I've used the bar on this side. I just get my big crowbar in there just to lever that down, which just made it slightly easier to get at almost in. It's very close, and I just finish it off with my little ram. Like I said on the other side, if I'd have dropped that bottom ball joint off, it would have been a lot easier.
It's in. That was fun, wasn't it? That was fun. Okay, let's get these compressors out of the way.
Just whiz them out again. Get the ratchet on them, undo them. Slide them round, just drop them down and out they come. Bit of grease on the bottom of that leg base again so it slides into the hub assembly nicely. Make sure that lug's lined up. And then tap it back in again. Many a tapper. Using the copper hammer again so I don't bend anything. Brake pipe bolt back in. Reconnect that ABS wire into its little holder. Smash that pinch bolt back up again. Wheel on. Down she comes.
That's that one done. We've just got to do the top mounting up here. Make sure that's nice and tight. Finish it off. Yeah. Oh, these are a pain. Oh, there we go. Right then. Now we can get the scuttle back in again. Let's get these bolts back through. There's one. Two. Three. Four. 5. 6. 10 of them little suckers, and then the wiper assembly can now go back in as well. If you needed to change your wiper motor, that comes out of there with the plug. Just press the tab, pull the plug out. But on the back of this rubber thing here, there's a little mark there that sits into the little notch that sticks out the bulkhead there. So if we can get that to go back in again, get that bit under there. Get the noggin in the thing like that, and then that is all in place, ready for the two big bolts to go through. Nice.
I have to say, I'm well impressed with this wiper motor assembly. It's really sturdy, lovely made, proper Toyota quality. It's a really nice bit of kit.
That's it, that's that done up. Okay, now I can get the plastic trim back on the top. So that slides underneath both sides, and then you slide it upwards onto the screen like that. We'll reconnect the washer jet. Push down on that. Locate the wiper blade in the right position. Hold back up.
So we'll just literally waz the wiper arm mounting bolt back on there. 12mm, wasn't it, on the end of the ratchet, and we'll do that up nice and tight. Not over tight, just nice and tight.
Sit back on the top.
And we can get the bonnet back down again. Close the bonnet on this one. Beautiful. We'll pull it forward and just see how it sits. Let's have a little look. See, it should drop slightly as it rolls forward and lets the tension out the springs, out the arms. Oh, look at that.
Oh, look at that. That's made a big difference, that has. That's sitting lovely. That's awesome. And if you look at that now, look at the negative on that. It looks wicked. Alright, let's take it for a spin. Oh yeah, can't wait. I can't wait to try this. Let's get you down. Now if it's anything like the Eibach springs on the BMW that we did, they stiffened it up, but they also, it was almost like you got, the normal drive was quite nice, and then when you really dug it in, they stiffened and didn't sag so much. So hopefully this will be the same. Let's have a go and see how she's behaving. Well, it's tight into the cut. That's rather nice. Yeah, that feels. That's really stiff on the corner there. Whoa, she's sitting pretty there. Feels really nice and tight on that. Really does feel nice. Into braking. Take the corners, right? I mean, it is really, really nice and tight on the steering. It's really stiff. Yeah, you can really give it some. It feels like it wants to grip. That's impressive stuff. So the other thing to notice, we've dropped it, the steering wheel is still dead straight, we've not altered the actual tracking at all, but what we have got is a different negative camber, so the cornering is going to be different. We're going to get it, it's going to be a lot sharper into the turns. It's dropped it 35mm, but it's not really low, it's not stupidly low, so we're not going to go whacking every single bump and speed up and destroy the car, but the actual stiffness of that, yeah, it's bloody lovely. Under braking, it's not dipping out too much. There we go, look. What do you reckon? Sitting really, really pretty. It's just dumped it down, gave it a little bit of stance. It's made a world of difference to the look of the car. It drives nice, it's not over hard. Over the speed bumps, we've got clearance. So it's kind of a compromise, best of both worlds. It's really increased the direction change. It's so snappy. It's really, really snappy on the direction into the roundabouts. It has made a big difference to the handling. Stiffened it up nicely. 100 quid, £103 I think it came into at the end. It's not a lot of money really for a full system setup like that. Really impressed. If you've enjoyed the video, drop me a little thumbs up, like, subscribe. I'd love some comments, drop me some comments. I know there's many ways of doing this, different ways of getting these legs out. I've done a few on a few of the previous videos when I've done clutches and stuff. I've separated the legs by just whacking it with a hammer with the compression jack that I use. Sometimes I've took the bottom arm off, sometimes I've not. So there's many different ways of doing it, whichever one you find is easiest really. That today was, I think next time I probably would separate the bottom arm. I do think that's a little bit easier with the bottom ball joint disconnected. But other than that, you know, job's a good one. The other one to watch out for was the little hose, the washer jet hose, that it can become disconnected and drop inside the inner wing. You can get your hand just under the liner at the back by the spring and just push it back through again. So not the end of the world, but that was something that that did create a couple of little minutes of issue, if you like. Where's that gone? You know. But all in all, really pleased with that. I think it looks an absolute, well, it looks a peach. It really does.